A very good morning, dear students. I, Divya Sharma, once again welcome you all to my online class, which is undoubtedly a result of the marvelous opportunity and encouragement given by Aro Jabalpur.
And children, our topic for today is a beautiful short poem from class 10th book, First Flight, and the title of our poem is Dust of Snow. This poem, children, was written by Robert Frost. And before moving on to the poem, let us first know a bit about the poet. Robert Lee Frost was born on March 26th in the year 1874. He was an American poet and he is known basically as a modernist poet. Now, children, modernist poetry is different from traditional poetry in several ways. Like, it uses simplified language and often there's no traditional rhyme in modernist poetry. Moreover, the modernist poets do not use images of nature, and such poets also have a negative point of view, a pessimistic point of view about the world. And although Robert Frost, like other modernist poets, wrote his poems in ways that were new and different when he was writing at the beginning of the 20th century, but unlike other modernists, he also kept some of the traditional aspects of poetry. Like in the poem that we are going to read today as well, you'll find some aspects of traditional poetry and some of that of modernist poetry. Like traditional poems, this poem has a rhyme scheme. It uses nature as its background, but at the same time, because of the symbolism used in this poem, it can also be categorized as a modernist poem. Okay, children? So we can say that in spite of the pastoral element predominant in Frost's poems, he is still a modern poet because his poetry has been endowed with the awareness of the problems of a man living in the modern world. Robert Frost was a wonderful poet and he's the only poet to receive 4 Pulitzer Prizes for poetry. Pulitzer Prize, children, is an award bestowed in the USA upon the people who have done exceptionally well in the field of journalism, music, and literature. So, Pulitzer Prize for Poetry is one of the categories, one of the 7 categories of the Pulitzer Award. So, dear students, excited about reading a poem by such a talented poet? So, let's start by reading the text of the poem first, then we'll analyze it further. The way a crow shook down on me, the dust of snow from a hemlock tree, has given my heart a change of mood and saved some part of a day I had rued. So, children, this is the poem that we are going to analyze today. And on the surface, it seems to be a very simple short poem of only 8 lines and 2 stanzas. But then, first of all, it's a poem, and that too written by Robert Frost. So, we definitely will have to delve deep into the poem to find out what hidden meaning lies inside it. Robert Frost himself wrote that it is what is beyond that makes poetry. What is unsaid in any work of art, its unsaid part is its best part. So let's find out what the unsaid part of this poem is. In the first stanza, the poet is saying, the way a crow shook down on me, the dust of snow from a hemlock tree. So, in this stanza, there is a description of how a crow shakes down some dust of snow, that is, the fine particles of snow upon the speaker, upon the poet, who is either standing under a hemlock tree, or maybe the speaker was passing from there. It's not clearly given in the poem. A hemlock tree is a very poisonous evergreen tree related to the family of pines. You can see the picture of a hemlock tree on your screens. It will give you a clearer idea of what a hemlock tree may look like. So, simply, here the poet wants to say that either he was standing near a hemlock tree or he was passing from there. A crow sitting on the hemlock tree. Now, again, there is no clear description of what action of the crow actually causes the falling of the snow particles upon the speaker. Either the crow was already sitting on that hemlock tree and it moved there, it flapped its wing or something, or it had flown away at that particular time, or maybe it came and perched on the tree at that very precise moment when the speaker was there. It's not actually clear and it doesn't actually matter even. But then one of the actions of the crow resulted in the falling of the light particles of the snow upon the speaker. And with this, the poet has chosen to end his first stanza. Now, the poet has built up a kind of curiosity in the reader to find out what this simple and seemingly insignificant incident of some dust of snow, some particle of snow falling upon the speaker because of some action of a crow sitting on a tree that is covered with snow may lead to. Why and how can it be a subject of a poem? So, in the second stanza, it becomes clear to us why the poet has chosen this particular setting. Has given my heart a change of mood and saved some part of a day I had rued. So, here the poet says that this action, which I mentioned in the first stanza, of the particles of snow falling upon me because of a crow sitting on a snow covered hemlock tree, I have felt a change of mood in my heart. And this change of mood has saved some part of the day that the poet had rued. Rued means regretted or he had felt sorry for. So here it becomes clear to us that might be the poet was upset about something. He was having a bad day. He was having a negative day. He was not happy with what happened in the earlier part of the day. He was depressed over something. He was thinking about something that was not good. And amidst those negative or sad thoughts, this little incident happened where a crow shook off some dust of snow, some snow particles upon the speaker. And this little incident brightened up the poet's mood. It uplifted the poet's mood and it made him positive about life. So, the speaker, because of the snow dust falling on him, finds himself relieved. His day just got a whole lot better. The event somehow allowed him to see life from a different angle. So, children, here in this poem, the first stanza is quite simple. It narrates a very simple incident of dust of snow falling on a speaker because of some action by a crow sitting on a snow covered tree. And in the second part of the poem delves into a deeper philosophical tone, and the poet says that how that incident has changed his perspective and how it has saved means rescued a part of the day which the poet was regretting. So, saved and rued are two very opposite words that are used together in the stanza to give a very deep, concrete meaning. Rude means something which you regret, which has a very negative impact upon you, upon your life. And saved is the exact opposite of it. Saved means when you are rescued from something. Hence, the use of these two opposite words is also very crucial in this poem. And children, this is not all. Now, let's discuss the poetic devices that have been employed by the poet. Since the various poetic devices play a very prominent role in enhancing the meaning of any poem. The most distinguished and notable poetic device used in this poem is symbolism. In symbolism, children, the poet or the author uses some objects in his poem or writing as symbols of some other things different from the literal meaning of those objects. Like in this poem, the hemlock tree, the crow, and the dust of snow are the various symbols that have been used. On your screen, children, you can see two pictures of a hemlock tree. The first one on the left is a picture taken during summer season, and on the right side, you can see a snow covered hemlock tree as it would appear in the poem. The tree that has been talked about in the poem might look something like the second tree. In this poem, the hemlock tree represents the dark side of the nature that is depressive, sorrowful, and bitter. Because, children, as you studied earlier, that hemlock tree is a poisonous tree. So, it has been used as a symbol of negativity in our life. And now, the crow that was perched on the tree, which shook off the snow or the particles of snow, the dust of snow upon the speaker. It is usually believed that the crow is a symbol of bad luck and death. It is a bird that is dark and comes with a dark pitched voice that is quite harsh. Again, a negative symbol. So, in the first stanza, children, the poet has used two negative symbols, and it may be due to the reason that initially the poet was in a very sad mood. He was quite upset, he was very disappointed over something about which he is telling us in the second stanza that he had rued some part of the day. The earlier part of the day had been regretful for him. He had regretted something in the earlier part of the day. So, the first stanza, the symbolisms that have been used correspond with the inner psyche, inner feeling, inner emotions of the poet. Now, let's see what the third symbol, that is the dust of snow, symbolizes. The dust of snow, that is the pure white, light, and fluffy particles of snow, represent the little joys of life that help us fight negative thoughts. So, here, as the mood of the poet changes in the second stanza, the symbol employed by him also becomes positive. Or vice versa, we can say that it was because of the dust of snow, the positive symbol, that the mood of the poet uplifts, it brightens up, And this shows how even a little incident of happiness can brighten up our day and dispel the gloom away, making us more happy and positive. So, children, here in this poem, symbolism has played a very major role to bring out and enhance the meaning of this short poem. This poem follows a definite rhyme scheme, and the rhyme scheme of the poem is AB, AB, CD, CD. You can see on your screens how we have determined the rhyme scheme of this poem. To determine the rhyming scheme of a poem, what we do is we look at the last words of each line of the poem. Okay, and then we assign the same letter to the different rhyming words, and to a word rhyming in a different manner, we assign another letter. For example, here in the first line, the way a crow. To the last word crow, we have assigned the letter A. In the second line, shook down on me. To me, we have assigned the letter B because crow and me do not rhyme with each other. We have assigned them different letters. The third line goes, the dust of snow. Since snow rhymes with crow, we'll assign the same letter as we have assigned to crow, that is A again. And from a hemlock tree, tree rhymes with me, so we'll assign the same letter B to it. Following the similar pattern, we have assigned the letters to the second stanza of this poem as well as C, D, C, D. So, this is how we come up with the rhyme scheme of a poem. The next poetic device that has been used in this poem is enjambment. Enjambment, children, you must already be knowing, is a poetic device in which a single sentence continues in two or more lines of a poem. And quite interestingly, this entire poem is made up of a single sentence only, which is divided in different lines to make it more appealing. And children, it is because of the enjambment that has been used by the poet in this poem that we can find a definite rhyme scheme in it. Because enjambment is employed by the poets sometimes to create the effect of rhyme in the poem. And this is the very reason why Robert Frost has employed enjambment in this poem. Okay? Sometimes to achieve a particular effect of emphasis or to make the poem rhyme better, the poets change the normal order of words. The order is reversed. This is known as inversion or anastrophe. That is, when the structure of a sentence is changed by the poet to create rhyme, this poetic license is called inversion. So in the first stanza of the poem, Dust of Snow, inversion can be seen. The way a crow shook down on me, the dust of snow from a hemlock tree. So this could have been the way a crow shook down the dust of snow from a hemlock tree on me. So here the poet has changed the structure of the sentence. Frost has also used alliteration in this poem. In alliteration, there is a repetition of consonant sounds in the beginning of some words like has given my heart. The consonant sound h of H has been repeated, and saved some part. Again, the consonant sound of S has been repeated. Along with alliteration, the poet has also used assonance. In the first stanza, there is a repetition of vowel sound O, and this repetition of vowel sounds is known as assonance in any poem. After going through the various poetic devices, let us see the central idea of this poem.
Central idea of any poem or prose is the main idea that is repeated throughout the poem or prose.
The central idea of this poem is that how a small and insignificant incident can cheer us up when we are stressed out or depressed over something. It wholly depends on our perspective, our point of view, how we perceive things. And our perception of things and incidents around us can bring about a lot of change the way our life shapes up.
Now, what is the theme of this poem? Children, theme refers to the message or the lesson that a piece of writing conveys. So, what did you learn from this poem? It will be the theme of this poem.
The poem teaches us a lesson that every small act in life can illuminate our soul and bring positivity. Being outdoors in nature with all its unpredictability can benefit anyone, anywhere, at any time. Robert Frost was a keen observer of the natural world. The natural world is rarely described in his poems for its own sake or as a background against which the action of the poem takes place. Instead, nature leads the poet to an insight or revelation. Often, a comparison emerges between the natural scene and the psyche, what Frost called inner and outer weather. The same applies to the poem that we have read today. Once we are done analyzing the poem, let us discuss the NCERT questions of this poem. The first question is, what is a dust of snow? What does the poet say has changed his mood? How has the poet's mood changed? So here children, to the first part of the question, we can write that dust of snow refers to the small tiny particles of snow, and since the particles are quite fine, the poet has referred to them as dust. What does the poet say has changed his mood? So we know that the falling of the snow, the falling of the pure white light fluffy particles of snow over the poet has changed his mood. How has the poet's mood changed? So earlier the poet was sad or depressed over something, he was regretting something. His mood changed from regret to that of hopefulness and positivity. So the poet's mood changed from negativity to positivity, pessimism to optimism. The second question is, how does Frost present nature in this poem? The following questions may help you to think of an answer. First part is, what are the birds that are usually named in poems? So children, to this part of the question, we can write that the birds that are usually named or mentioned or referred to in the poems traditionally are the birds like nightingales, skylarks, cuckoos, doves, swans, pigeons, etc. And the second part of the question is, do you think a crow is often mentioned in poems? So we can say that a crow is rarely mentioned in poems because of the negativity, because of the darkness associated with it. What images come to your mind when you think of a crow? So when you think of a crow, what comes in your mind? We think of a dark bird with a very harsh noise which is not at all pleasant to our ears. And as we discussed earlier, crows are associated with bad omen, that is bad luck. The next question, again, what is a hemlock tree? So hemlock tree, children, is a poisonous tree that belongs to the family of pines. Why doesn't the poet write about a more beautiful tree such as maple or an oak or a pine? So to answer this question, we can write that the poet wanted the tree to be a symbol of the negativity, to be a symbol of the pessimism that he was facing in life at that particular time. And we can also say that the poet has used this symbol to show that sometimes how a seemingly negative thing around us can also be a reason for our joy, unknowingly or unexpectedly. Moving on to the next question. What do the crow and the hemlock represent? Joy or sorrow? So, children, the crow and the hemlock represent sorrow in this poem. What does the dust of snow that the crow shakes off a hemlock tree stand for? We have already discussed that the dust of snow, the particles of snow, stand for the small, seemingly irrelevant, insignificant things in life that can bring positive change in our life. The third question, children, is a question based on creative writing. Have there been times when you felt depressed or hopeless? Have you experienced a similar moment that changed your mood that day? So, here you have to write about your own personal experience in life, whether you have felt any kind of depression or any kind of negativity or sadness or hopelessness, desperation due to any reason at any point of time. If yes, if there was anything that brought you out of that negativity, what was the particular experience similar to that of a poet, which was seemingly insignificant, which appeared to be not at all of any importance, but it helped you overcome your sadness, it helped you overcome your disappointment over something. Children, if you have any such experience, you can feel free to write about this as an answer to this question. So, this is a question that you have to answer based on your own experience in life. Dear students, we just read a beautiful short poem by Robert Frost, and the message of this poem is put into words by Robert Frost himself. Always, always a larger significance, a little thing touches a larger thing. This means that even the smallest of incidents, the smallest of things can have a larger significance, a larger role in our life than they appear to be having. So, we should not undermine the importance of even smallest of incidents, because a little incident like the falling of snow from a snow covered tree by the action of a crow changed the poet's mood from regret to that of joy, from pessimism to that of optimism. This, children, is the magic of Robert Frost. And that is why his poems like Stopping by the Woods on a Snowy Evening, The Road Not Taken, etc., have been a part of the curriculum of different boards. And even in your syllabus, you have another poem by Robert Frost that is titled Fire and Ice.
So that is all for today, and I take your leave now. Thank you, children.